Yesterday I was in the bookstore and this little girl walks up to me and she's got a stack of books in her hands. And she looks at me because she's been wandering around like at my feet. And when I say little girl, I mean like 9, maybe 10 years old. And I had this flashback to that movie Men in Black when the girl's walking down the street and they ask the various potential MIB agents which one seems to be the most dangerous. And he points out all the different aliens, and then he points out this one girl and she's carrying a textbook. And he said, well, I think the one dangerous out of that whole crowd is the little girl with the quantum physics book. That's way too heavy of stuff to be reading at her age. And here's this little girl, 8 or 9 years old. She's got a stack of books in her hands, and I'm looking at the titles of these books and I'm thinking, I wouldn't be reading some of that stuff. I can't imagine that she would be. But she's got probably 5 or 6 little books in her hands. And I said, can I help you with something? And she said, I'm just trying to figure out where to put them back. I'm Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast, and I don't know how she came to have all those books in her hands. I'm guessing because they had pretty colors and pretty titles, and Mom was shopping for books that she thought maybe I needed to have some books too. But the stuff that she picked up off the shelf, obviously she couldn't read the covers, or if she could, she had no idea what it was she was choosing. See, that's the challenge with free will choice. I believe we all should have free will, absolutely. The right to choose belongs to every living human being. But in the same way, there's a day and time when we ask our grandparents or great-grandparents to hand over the keys to the family car because, well, they can't remember that they left it running in the garage. Or they can't remember the way home. Or they can't remember what it means when that little light moves from red to green or green to red. Because there's something wrong in their thinking process. Now's the time to limit choices. When you're 8 and you're buying books, there's a kids section for buying books at 8 that really should point you in the direction of buying books that your mental ability to comprehend is there. I have grandchildren, 8 of them, from 3 months to 13, almost 14 years old. And you know what? I wouldn't hand the keys to the family car to any of them. Not because I don't love them, not because they don't have free will choice, but because it's a bad choice on my part to make an option for them to drive the car. They can't even reach the pedals. Now, it doesn't mean they couldn't work together and get it out of park and into gear and roll it across the street and hit somebody. My sister and I did that when we were little kids, because we were left in the car with it running, and that was before the day of the parking brake assist, where you couldn't get it out of park without pushing in the brake pedal. But see, not all choices should be ours to be made. Not all choices can be trusted to everyone. Some choices, well, they need to be limited. And that's why, for an example, in our military and in our government, we have these various classifications of security. And under each of those classifications of security, you have free will and you have choices, but you have a limited number of things that you have access to the information of. In fact, in the military, there's a phrase called need-to-know basis. It's not that you couldn't understand it. It's just that we really don't trust everyone in the world to have that information. They might make choices that they're not prepared for. Voting is a choice. It's a free will choice. It's a decision, but we don't ask 12-year-olds to vote. See, there are certain things in life as a leader that you have to have the comprehension about to direct the choices within the organization. I'm guessing if you're the CEO of an organization, you don't let just anybody on the floor decide who pays the paychecks or how much will be paid in each paycheck. Why? Because you'd very soon find your business bankrupt. Not to say that they're not intelligent people, but they're not going to make choices based on the long-term outcome for the entire organization. You have somebody for that. I don't think leaders should limit choices with fictitious options. I don't think leaders should cause people to make choices only because it benefits them. This fictitious limiting of choices, say, well, you only have 3 days, or you've got to buy it now to get it at this price. That kind of manipulation, I don't think that's good. But I do think it's good to bring within the parameters of the maturity level, the intellectual level, the capacity level, the authority level, a set of choices that are still free will, but not so crazy outside the bounds that they can put other people in harm's way. I challenge you as leaders to make sure that the free will choices that you offer to those that you lead and influence are offered within the scope of their true ability to decide and their mature ability to employ those choices in long-term consequences, because those consequences can sometimes be enormous. I'm Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.